Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sitback with Shaq and Anu. It's completely different today. We're obviously pushing the needle of technology, as you can see. We're coming to you from two different places in Colombo, purely because of the fact that we're forced upon what we need to do right now. Hi, Anu, how are you?
Hi, Shaq, and hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. But of course, looking at our respective walls behind us, it could be the same house, right? It's the same
Maybe
wall,
we should
but,
take them on
but
a
it is
tour.
what it is. Anyway, we're just not going to let what kind of whatever adversities out there hold us back. So there's obviously no fuel for either of us or any of our guests to actually get to our studio. So we just thought, what, we're not going to stop just because of that. So technology is ripe right now, and we are just going to pluck that fruit straight from that tree, and here we are. What do you know?
And a big thank you to our friends at Dialogue TV who have actually jumped on this crazy idea and decided to say, okay, guys, let's go ahead with it. Because right now, when you take a look at the situation, Anu, I just heard today that we're not supposedly going to get fuel till somewhere in the mid part of July. So things are not
That's
looking
right.
all that great at the moment.
And that's a guess at best, check. You know what I mean? So we are all left guessing right now. And although we did have the power and energy minister some time ago, who actually assured us that the LCs had been open, I think that may have that may have hit a snag along the way. Ever since Sri Lanka's banks were downgraded, and we knew this was coming, and it is what it is. We make the most of it. Come on, if we have to walk to work or bicycle to work, we are going to do it.
That's right, and a very special show today, as always. It's the very first time where we're doing something like this. So, we want to basically let our viewers know if we do have any teething issues. Please make sure. I mean, please just bear with us because we're trying to get this right. We know that this is our only mode of making sure that the show stays on air for the next couple of weeks or so till either one of us actually has fuel, so we can actually pick either one of us up and go to the studios. And yeah, and not only that, unfortunately, where we are as far as the studio is concerned, we've done our shows right smack in the middle of power cuts every single time.
Yeah, that's right. So actually, the fact that we are starting at 10 p.m. Is opportune because hopefully there won't be power cuts beyond 10 at night, and actually you are more relaxed. It's a weekday after all, and this is since we are asking all of the questions that you really want to ask, and all of the people that you really want to talk to. Yeah, spending that little time later in the day is going to be worth your while.
Okay, I just want to let all our viewers know that Anu is at home. I am at home. Our producers are in the studio, and of course, also at home. So we can't see each other. There's no way of communication, of course, happening except individuals sending us text messages saying, like just one I just got right now saying, Anu, you need to talk louder.
Okay then. Right. Okay.
Just want to let everyone know. Okay,
Okay,
all
I
right,
will.
ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special show lined up today. And before we actually get into the show, as always, what we do on the show, we have a daily poll that comes up on the show, and it's time for us to obviously come up with the daily poll right now. Let's have it on your screen.
And as you know, we kind of tailor make the daily poll to suit our guests for the evening. And you can guess who the guests are by the poll. So the poll is usually a yes or no answer. And here it is. Do you think the Aragalaya has lost its momentum? Yes or no answers only. And WhatsApp your answers to our hotline 077 669 1590. That's the number that you see on your screen right now, and at the end of the show we'll tell you the answer as it stands.
All right, it's time for us to quickly, swiftly move over to the GGG, where our guests are standing by right now. We've got Kasumi and Melani. Hello, ladies. Good evening and welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hello. Yeah, hi. We are all right. Tired. Uh, yeah, but we're all right and
And
still
it's
hopeful.
it's nice. It's nice that you guys are coming from the International Media Center of the Gota Gogama. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
That's where it has most light.
And also,
How's the
comparatively, it's quiet.
A little bit
Right.
more
right,
quiet.
right?
Okay.
How's the
So, ladies,
yeah?
go on, Anu.
Sorry. So how's the atmosphere there right now, ladies?
Um, well, it's not as crowded as it used to be. For several
Okay.
reasons. I think one being it's difficult for people to travel. I mean, even we find it difficult to go and come back. So
We
we've been
decided.
staying here during the Occupy movement. Um, yeah, but the activities are still going on. I mean, even today there was a rally in Peter, and there are like peaceful dissent is ongoing, and there are several ways that we are trying to make it more convenient for people to show dissent as well. Like car stickers are one, and pocket protests like kitchen layman, uh, the independence protests like that. Like we're trying to create more avenues and make it more convenient for people to show dissent as well. And also, we're trying to educate people a little more on the fact that why we shouldn't settle for this injustice as a normalcy. Like Anu said earlier, like, yeah, Sri Lankans are resilient and we will do it somehow. We will cycle to work. But how practical it is, how practical it is for everyone, not just for one sector of the
Absolutely. And
people, but for everyone as well. Yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah, so the
and why?
descent is still ongoing.
Yeah, and why should we have to? Absolutely. I mean, taking one on the chin and trying to do something and being resilient. It shouldn't be the norm. That should be something that you do just because you can. So, ladies, the thing is, how long have you been there up to this point? I mean, how long have you been involved with the Aragale?
We've been involved since the independence protest,
4th of
uh, 4th of May,
April.
April. No, 4th of
Oh
May
wow.
is different. um, since 4th of April. And then after that, we saw, the potential as well as the gravity of what this could lead to. And then we decided to also join, and then, we've been coming here at least every day unless we're like sick. This like the past few couple of weeks ago, there was this influenza that everyone just got, and I think that was the only like break that we got. But other than that, like we've been always here, and then but because of the current issues with regard to like the fuel, like people have we have not been able to find transport, and it's costly to go up and down, and so we decided, okay, we'll just pack our bags, come here and stay, and then get this done in a much faster and a more efficient way. Might as well use all hands, and I think that's also something that we'd like to see from the general public as well. All hands in. I think we can get this done in just a couple of hours. Whereas if we just take time, if you are comfortable and uncomfortable, I think that would just prolong the process.
Ladies, let's go back to the beginning of the Aragalia, and at the initial stages of it. It was something novel, it was something new, and it was also at a time that the power cuts, of course, were increased to almost 12, 13, 14 hours. That also kick-started everybody to actually get on the street. Things sort of picked up in a massive manner, and it was like the in thing to be at the Aragalia. And at the end of the day, you had almost everybody in Sri Lanka. They don't necessarily have to be in Colombo. They made that trip to come to the Aragalia. It was picking up momentum, and everybody was actually standing for one cause, which basically is ask the president to go. Over the last several weeks, things have changed. Things have sort of dwindled down. Why is that? What is going on? What's the inside story there?
A few things, right? So, like I told you earlier, it is difficult for people to come here as well. But I think there's also a big role played by the government-supported social media and the fake news that they've been spreading and misleading headlines. Like one of the biggest accusations is that Aragale has been, it's been overtaken by certain left
Political
parties,
party.
right? Like political parties. But what a lot of people fail to understand is even though these parties are more left in, in the left, sorry, they have massive differences in their theoretical thinking or their opinions. So these parties have come together to work towards this goal of sending Gotabe home, and the whole point of them coming together is to achieve a common goal. And but because that they have such vast differences in the way that they see they want to their political ideologies. So because of this thinking, nobody can really hijack or nobody can have a bigger say than the other. So initially there was opposition leading protests as well. Right. So, I mean, you've seen Hirunika Piramachandra was protesting a few days ago. So, all of this is part of the Aragale. I mean, Aragale, like goal phase, GGG plays a massive role in terms of a symbolical occupation, the Occupy movement. But the Aragale is in all of Sri Lanka or
All
beyond
of
Sri
us,
Lanka. It's within
effective.
all Sri Lanka. So, I think most of the reasons for people not coming here as much is more to do with the practical reasons and also because of these false accusations and these stories that are spread out. But like I said, what people need to understand is uh, the reason why we do this and the reason why everybody needs to do this. It's not about supporting Gota Gokama. It's not about supporting Golface. It's about
Fighting for your
standing
right.
up for your own rights, standing up to ask this Rajapaksa regime to leave because they've stolen our money, right? Because they've mismanaged our country and the our finances towards a point that we are now bankrupt. So we don't know what to do with our future anymore because these people have made so many bad decisions and they've proved that they are unfit to rule. So that's the reason that everybody should get out. So, but like I said, that people will understand this because it's we don't really have to do much because the government is doing everything that leads up to it. Like I said, 13-hour power cut made people to leave home, and now what? We are locked inside our houses for over a week. So and the people of Sri Lanka pay taxes. We haven't stolen anyone's money. We are law abiding citizens, so we deserve to live decent lives in Sri Lanka. Everybody does. So if people understand this, if we don't get comfortable in being uncomfortable, like Kasumi said, then people will get out on the streets again.
How is
Melanie, but
how is
all
no, go on, Anu. It's okay.
sorry,
Go on.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Although you said that that nobody's actually tried to hijack it. There are certain left elements. For instance, the JVP. I mean, like, we can call it what it is. The Andare, which is also representative of the JVP. They have made certain moves to kind of own this platform where the protests were not started by them, of course, but they have made moves to become the voice for the Aragalia, become the negotiation platform for the Aragalia, and kind of put in a more leftist, more socialist agenda than what exactly the people are asking for.
Well, see, I think this has a lot to do with sort of misconceptions that Sri Lankan people have about the left political parties. So JVP is not the only left political party present here. So there's also the Peratugami Samaja, actually, right? So those two parties have massive ideological differences. I think they treat each other as more of opponents than the other political parties like the UNP, SJB, or even SLPP. So, but a lot of people tend to think the moment you say left, it is JVP, right? So even like I learned more about these differences and like how these parties differ in their ideologies after coming here and like talking to them and understanding a little more. But this is why I said like these are more to do with propaganda, because if a party does this, they would put more information out to say that like look, this is what we stand for and this is not us, right? So that hasn't happened. That's one. But like I said, like obviously political parties, existing political parties are a part of the existing system. Yes, they might be here. Yes, they might be asking the same thing that we ask, but that doesn't mean that they are leading, or that doesn't mean that they have a bigger say than rest of the protesters.
And also, I think to add on to that, I think there's a huge role with to people who receive the messages, who look at media, who look at news, and then they should also use their critical thinking. They should use how to how to kind of think and be like, okay, even though they might hijack this event or whatever it is, it's not the sole truth, first of all. And secondly, everyone is struggling, regardless whether someone is in a political party and is trying to make this into whatever their personal agendas are. Everyone is struggling, and you don't have to be affiliated in a political party for you to speak for your rights. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, to say that you don't have to join, you don't have to pick a side to support yourself, to be there for another person, for fight for your future, fight for your kids' future. You don't have to join something. And yeah.
No, the Aragali obviously at the beginning, and from where we are right now, it has achieved so much that no one thought that it would actually achieve. And credit to everybody, obviously, at the Aragali, who's basically, decided I push the cabinet to step down, push the finance minister to step down, change the central bank governor. I mean, there were so many pivotal moves that obviously the government has taken, and right now is because of where we are, or because of those moves that have already been taken. Is that one of the reasons that you feel that some of the individuals who were with you at the beginning stages feel that half the battle is won and the other half is just at any moment in time it will happen, so we don't necessarily have to be there?
Maybe. Or also, like, like I said earlier, there were political parties who are here, and there were other, like, prominent figures, the upcoming politicians, different people who were here. And also, one thing that's been highlighted from the very beginning was nobody was asking for a leader, nobody was asking for leadership. Rather, everybody came together to achieve uh, achieve this one goal, and they contributed, right? So for some people it might have felt that their contribution was not appreciated, or they may had certain expectations of being a leader, or um, being identified as a leader. And when that didn't happen, maybe they took a step back. But at the same time, everybody is asking main, like the main goal, or like the main demand is asking for President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to go home. And you don't have to do it at Gotagogama. You can do it from anywhere you are at,
You
right?
can do it from
So
your home.
yeah, right. So I think the reason that, like, some people didn't feel like that they were highlighted, or they didn't, like, maybe some people had bigger following online, and when they came here, they were just another protester, right? Like myself and Kasumi are, like anybody here. So I guess that could be the reason that they took a step back. Or also maybe if they had any other agendas or
Agendas,
any other plans. Maybe I'm not saying I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying
right?
if one had, right? So when that particular goal is met, then you have no need to keep supporting it anymore. So
But
Melanie,
there is so much.
I
There's
do have another, and I do have another theory about that though. You know,
mhm,
I just felt that these governments, these politicians, they are old hands at this. They are, old hands at being crafty. I personally feel right now, that they outmaneuvered you. They outmaneuvered the gusto of the people to, the staying power. You know what you tell us to go home. Okay, you know what, we're just going to go lock down ourselves and hunker down, and we're going to wait it out. And I feel that's exactly what they're doing right now. And they're waiting for you to actually properly run out of steam, so that and they can move along like nothing happened once again.
which is already happening at the moment.
yeah, so,
But also at the same time, we see that people still, whenever we come across, or like on either social media, people talking to us, messaging us, calling us, the movement is still there. The Aragale is still there because people are struggling every day still. People are suffering every day. And we are going to suffer more. There's going to be uh, food scarcity. There's potential for such things. And if we don't think about our own future, it's not that it's going to happen in 5 years. We're not talking about 5 years. We're talking about just a couple of months. And if we don't say anything now, what will you do in about 2 months? Will you still stay home then? Will it be too late then? So that's why we stay here. But at the same time, we try to come up with things. We try to make sure that there's engagement with people. We try to, make something significant so that people feel that people feel connected to the struggle, and so join hands. And we try to do, uh, certain things to,
yeah,
like, make sure that this keeps happening, and we are still hopeful. We and we have seen, whenever there is a protest, we see people who are not from here. It's not, sometimes it's disheartening to see less crowds, but I know that people's heart is with us. They feel the same thing. Maybe they cannot physically be there at that time, but then you can make time to make sure that you also voice your opinion, because everyone's voices matter in this moment. It's not people just in this place that should fight against the state. It's because it's the people that hold the power, not our leadership, not our leadership.
and just
But
to
the thing is also the fact
so,
that we have been pushed at the moment, each and every one of us. We have been pushed to to actually force the way that we are living right now. I mean, if you take a look at this particular show, right, we have been pushed to do this show online, right, in different parts of Colombo. Otherwise we would have actually had you in the studio doing this show, right? So it has come to a point that people need to survive. People need to wait in those fuel lines 7 to 10 to 15 hours because there is no choice at the moment, right?
yeah,
So rather than, I mean, it's sad to say that we have already fallen in that abyss at the moment, right? But what else can you do? I mean, you can voice your protest as much as you can, but we still, each and everyone has to lead our lives in whatever way we can.
yeah, yeah.
Ashak,
Just like
the
a
thing is,
little thought to, excuse me, just a little thought to add to the previous
sorry.
question. Like you said that it looks like that they, like the government has outmaneuvered us. I think we are forgetting something very important about the attack on the 9th May.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So, yeah. So, like, if you remember the first few weeks at Golf Face, it was like this utopia that all of us always dreamt to see, right? Like, there was acceptance. So there was, like, freedom, anybody to do anything that they wanted to do, love, peace, everything. But after the 9th, they introduced fear and suspicion and paranoia here. So that also goes to the people outside of GGG, not only the people here. And it was a traumatic incident. So imagine you live here and you have a tent where you sleep and you have everything that you love here, and it gets burned down. And then you see it on TV, right? And people come here running to help us. So, and everything, like, the burnings and, like, the riots, everything that happened after, this was trauma. And this trauma is not only for the people at Goldface, but it was traumatic for everybody in Sri Lanka. And and also the state oppression that followed after. So there's, I think, close to 3,000 people have been arrested so far, and some of them, the crime they have done is posting a comment on a Facebook post, not even a post that they have posted, right? So with this oppression, with this fear, this is like what this government always used to do. Not just this government, I think, like, everybody that has ever been in power, using fear to control people, and also dividing people to control. So they're trying it, right? But the problem is the issues that people face have not been solved. So until those issues are not solved, the Aragale will go on. And like you said, like, it feels like we don't have a choice, but there is a choice, and the choice is the Aragale. Keep fighting, keep shoving in dissent, keep telling these guys that we do not accept this as our only reality. Keep telling them that we know that we deserve more. Keep telling them that they can't oppress and they can't control people's voices. They can't shut us down just because they think they can. We have rights. We are Sri Lankan citizens. Just like we are born in Sri Lanka, we also have a right to live a decent life in Sri Lanka. We have a right
exactly.
to breathe fresh air, and have access to basic needs. Yep. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I know you. I know you wanted to say something before I actually before we finished.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
I
That's what I
completely
wanted to say,
lost that.
because, like, the previous question.
So funny thing that I haven't lost my marbles yet, but I lost that thread entirely. But what I want, what I wanted to say, I wanted was another thing that I wanted to ask is, Melanie and Kasumi. Kasumi, incidentally, could you please speak up a little louder, because because we are, online. It's actually even, like, going a little lower than usual. So, what I really wanted to ask was, why not having a leadership, not having a hierarchy, there. What do you think, or what do you honestly think? Has it worked for your benefit, or has it worked against you?
I think right now we're not looking for any leaderships because I think leadership is what caused us to be here. And I think before leadership, there has to be a change. There has to be many things that we need to, we need to fix before that. There is no standard for even leadership in this current state. And I think people are forgetting that people deserve better. People are forgetting that this shouldn't be the new normal. This week, Sri Lanka can thrive because Sri Lanka has so much of potential. It's not that we're not a country that does not have a lot of resources. We do have a lot of resources. It's just that our leaders don't use that, and they choose to use this, corrupt system, use manipulations and all sorts of uh, ways to profit for themselves and their people. And as much as it is difficult to step out, people should show and speak up for their own fundamental rights.
I think in terms of leadership for the Aragalaya, it has actually worked to benefit us rather than not benefiting. Because what is happening right now here is that we've identified different people who are willing to and who are capable of doing different tasks, who are more we've identified people who are good at social media, we've identified people who are good at making videos, we've identified people who are best in terms of organizing people, organizing events. So like that,
Like
now
roles.
without without a leadership, we have this a system thinking where different arms or different groups act to achieve this one goal, right? So it's not that one person at the top giving orders, okay, you do this, you do this, rather than people coming up and saying, okay, I'm good at this, let me help with this, right? Let us take the let's form a group and let's take the responsibility of this particular task. So like that, people are coming together to work and achieve something. So this is what we need for the country as well, right? So so to answer the question you asked, not having a leadership actually has supported us.
So, okay,
Melanie,
let me
you
ask you
you
this.
you were one of the individuals who was actually protesting outside the parliament, and you were one of the individuals, apart from the protesters, obviously, who were also arrested, and which, of course, you had the bar
Oh,
association coming to your
Shaq,
rescue. Uh,
Shaq, the both of them, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, the both of them. Okay, the both. Oh, I'm sorry. These are information that's been fed to me right now, which is I shouldn't be looking at those information in that case. Okay, right. So the both of you, obviously, right, have been arrested, and of course, it was a big story in Sri Lanka at that point, outside the parliament. How has that affected you? I mean, for anybody else, that would be also traumatizing, because not knowing where you're going to go, not knowing what you're charged for, not knowing why you've been taken to the police station, right? But yet, after that, there was a convoy that brought you back to the GGG and accepted, right? Thousands of individuals and protesters alike were there waiting for you, right? From that point onwards, you still step back there. I mean, how has that changed your perception?
I think, well, that event itself, I think we are still going through that process. We're still processing that because it's not that we've had a particular day to actually process what happened, what we felt, and we've been talking to lawyers a lot, to talk about what happened. But other than that, we haven't been able to sit down. But at the same time, we've been able to like talk amongst each other, and I think that's kind of like a group therapy within that. So that helps us keep that momentum, keep that, and so it thrives each other, like each other's uh, like hope, and like we basically, I don't know, like
we just yeah, I mean, that day happened, it was definitely big, of course traumatic. We were scared, but at the same time the support that we received was overwhelming, and that was so heartwarming to see the support of the people. And at the same time, that also, with that came a big
response.
responsibility, yeah, like a big sense of responsibility, that all of these people supported us, and they have a hope in our Regale. So we are determined to do anything and everything within our reach, within our capacity, to make sure that we achieve the main goals of our Regale. But that was definitely traumatic, and we haven't really had time to solve that trauma or completely deal with
Process
it.
it.
I think, yeah, completely process it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
I know
I
you
think
wanted to
Okay,
say
Yaragali is
something.
I
over.
just okay. What I want to ask is this. Okay, two questions really. So, how? I mean, it's great to know that people have got your back. you know for damn sure now that nobody's going to come and try to, like, muscle their way into GGG, because the return for that will be about tenfold. This time around, it might be about a thousandfold. So nobody's got the gonads to kind of try that now, right? I mean, that is, I'm sure that is a reassuring feeling that you can protest in peace. And the other thing is, I mean, you're there day in, day out. Just could you please describe your typical day, like morning till evening, morning till the next morning?
It depends because not every day is the same. You know, if it's a rainy day, then it's a complete different experience here because then you're running around trying to
Hold the tent
hold the
together,
tents
make
down.
sure it doesn't get
Yeah.
wet. And then we're just like making sure we don't get wet.
And yeah, so like making sure the belongings stay safe and the books in the library stay safe. So that's a rainy day, right? So if there are protests aligned, then it's a whole different thing. Like we drop posters, and we also try to engage with the people who go, like travel here in the evenings. We distribute car stickers, so all of those things are going on. And if people get arrested, then it's a whole different story of like trying to call media, trying to call lawyers, and like making sure the people are safe. And and the place GGG, what I've experienced since 9th of April is the place changes really fast. The dynamics, like the atmosphere, everything keeps changing really fast. So uh, typical day, I'm not sure whether there's like any one
Every
particular.
day is not. It's different to each day because one day it would be maybe just about meetings and then making sure we come up with something else. There is a significant day that we want to highlight, or that's more of a lesser thing, but at the same time we also handle like people politics, and then we make sure that there's
Right.
food. If there's no food, then we make sure that we call donors, and then we talk to them and then get that done. And then if there is something happening, the in here at the Gamma we try to be involved in it, like engage. And then like we would also visit one golf base. Um, Thankfully, that's
Right.
there for us to use every now and then. I won't say for one, but then there's also a shower installed here,
Okay.
so we
Tell me
visit
this now.
people.
How many? Yeah.
Yeah,
Around how many people are mainstays? Have been there for months on end. I'm sure it's a count. It's a number.
uh not really, because people also do take breaks, and we, like everybody here as a collective, encourage that. Because when you're stationed in one place, when you're used to one place, it's also quite heavy on the head. And everybody has this, like the introvert extrovert meters are not exactly the same for everyone. So we encourage people to take a break. So usually people would, like go outside or go home and stay for about a week and come back. I did that, she did that, like most of our friends also did. So like that. And also there been people, like I said, like after the ninth incident, lots of younger people, I mean even our parents were scared. They are scared of us being here, they are scared of us coming here. So most of these people who want to be here and who have been there from the 9th of April sometimes now visit only one now and then, but they can't really stay here and be here. But the organizations, actually, like the groups, the organized groups, they have a sort of a bigger, I mean, they have been here more. But there are also other individuals, like the people who are not aligned with or who are not part of other organizations who've been here as well. But since the support that they have, uh, if you're like within a group, you have like somebody sort of be accountable for you, like somebody that can talk to your parents and say, look here, don't worry, like we'll take care of your child. So that way, I think there have been more people staying like that. So as a number, I'm not really sure we could, but two to 300 or like.
uh, roughly about there's about 500 every day. Of course, it would change plus or minus 10%. Um, depending on the weather or how the day is, whether there's a lockdown, whatever that that is happening within that specific day. But if not, there is an roughly about 500 individuals that stay here at, because people don't, even though someone would go, there is always two people coming, kind
Right,
like it's
right.
kind of like a replacement. it but it's not anything that we've been speaking of. It just automatically happens, like, oh, if you're not going to be there, then I'll come. But we formed this kind of like community where we ensure there is a number here, and everyone else who has the capacity to go and come back home, or who needs time to be away for a bit and then come back. That's why I think the numbers would go up and down. But if there is some sort of event, it would obviously be higher. uh,
So ladies, one of the things, of course, is the fact that apart from requesting the president to go home, you've also been constantly requesting all 225 individuals to step down from the parliament, right? Which clearly is something that you've been pushing. Now, have you decided, or is there any process just in case, one fine day in Utopia that all 225 decide to step down because you all have decided, you basically asked them to step down? What happens at that point onwards? You requested them to step down. Have you thought through the process? What happens after that?
Yeah, so this whole 225 thing is not something that's agreed by everybody, though. I mean,
Oh, okay.
personally, yeah, I mean, in the sense, there
I mean,
are,
technically yes, because all 25,
is
not,
correct,
I mean,
most of
maybe
them.
just like less than 5 are not so bad, but other
Not
than that,
so bad, but they're
everyone
still
else.
bad.
What do you
Yeah,
mean not so bad?
I mean
Yeah,
like the standard,
exactly.
like, I mean,
But,
at least in the standard of transparency, or
yeah,
in the standard of whether they're doing the work that they're supposed to do, and not just get the privileges of a title
yeah,
that they hold.
yeah.
But you can't
And
necessarily
what?
pick and choose when you're requesting for all 225 to step down. Now
Yes,
you've
No,
I think,
requested
exactly.
to
That's why.
step down,
I think that's why
yeah,
everyone says 225. We're not saying
yes,
pick or choose. We're
yeah,
saying
right?
225. I mean,
the whole lot
if
to
we
go.
have to pick between those five, and then whether 225 to go, we'll just make sure that 225 also, just everyone goes
Yeah.
altogether,
What
because at the
what
same
happens
time
then?
they're being in this.
Yeah. So basically, the request, or like the demand is like, yes, we are asking Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign, but we are also asking for a system that is transparent and accountable. So basically, what we've been asking from the beginning is a system where the decision making of the government, right, is transparent, so people are aware of how the uh, state functions, or like how they handle our finances, how they handle our natural resources. So this process, we are asking that to be transparent, and we also want the decision makers to be accountable for the decisions that they make. As an example, the energy minister, I mean, they've introduced this token system, which is like the only result of that is wasting people's time twice as much, right? So they should be held accountable for this. And again, like for several instances, these ministers and even the cabinet ministers keep going back on their words, right? So they say something, and like within 2 weeks, it's a complete different story again. As an example, with the organic farming issue, the imports of fertilizer issue, right? And
Yeah.
several others. Yeah. So like we don't want a system where these people can just say things and go home, right, and come back the next day and say something completely different. We need them to be accountable for the decisions that they make, and we also need them to pay the compensation if they've caused us any losses and damages for the country, because they are paid a salary with the public tax money to do a job. So if they fail to do that job, if they make a mistake in, like, the right thing to do would pay back the losses. So that is what we are asking. So within this whole the hashtag or the slogan of asking 225 to go home, what we are really asking is a system that is transparent and accountable.
So how many? Okay, no, there are lots of people that come and go to GGG, and at the same time, there are some mainstays. How many of you are actually are you planning on contesting the next general election? Because I mean, this ideal that you have in your mind, I am sure none of the 225 members of parliament presently in office share. This is like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. The dog is just not inclined to absorb new tricks at this late stage of life. They're grumpy, they're slow, and it is what it is. So, are you planning to do this change by actually becoming the change?
Well,
Well, yeah, go.
I think, as you said, be the change is what we're doing here. We're trying to be the change by being here, being present in this change that we want, and and that's what we're asking other people as well. Uh,
Well, um, so basically, so I myself, I'm a climate activist, and
Okay.
that is a bigger fight than just asking the corrupt government to go home. And also, looking at the environmental issues that has happened in Sri Lanka, I personally feel that I can play a much bigger role in creating, or like, pushing for positive change as an activist. But at the same time, there are lots of people, lots of young minds, brilliant minds here, who are happy to who are happy to contest for the elections, and people who with you know with those sort of hopes. So, like, I mean, that's brilliant, and we really think that young leaders should come up. And I've had the privilege to meet some of the brilliant people, like, very well educated, who are very forward thinking, who are aware of the bigger issues that Sri Lanka faces in terms of global crisis, like, climate change as an example. People who can think that far really needs to be in the position of decision making. So I'm sure we will see. Uh, I mean, but the problem is we can't create that change within this existing system. That needs to change. So once that's changed, you will definitely see a lot of new faces, a lot of brilliant young people uh, contesting for the elections.
Do
and I
you,
think
I mean, sorry,
another
just
thing
want to,
to
on that note, sorry, Anu, just on that note, it's funny what you say, that you can't you can't change the system, or you can't get into elections with the current system, but you are also requesting for a change of the system. You can't sit outside the house and keep throwing stones in the house and make sure everything is all right. You need to get into the house and try and change it. Now this is also almost the same thing that I suppose we've been having discussions, we on our shows. We've actually been having chats with the opposition, members of the opposition party. When it was actually given to them on a platter to take over, they refused because they obviously had different policy ideas. So what we asked them was, would you not rather get into the government and try and change the government and look at ways of trying to get the president out, or rather than just sitting outside and request for the president to go out? Exact question I'm asking you. right? This system is not going to change overnight. You can't sit outside and say, listen, we're going to be a part of it when this system changes. You need to get into it and change the system. Are you guys willing to do that?
Well, I
Absolutely. Shaq,
mean,
before you
quota
answer that, Melanie, I just want to also highlight the fact that it is not just the politicians, is it?
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
state sector is tremendously corrupt. Our trade unions are not used to actually just foster trade union activities, but they have become weapons in a war that you hardly see overtly. It's very covert, and there is so much corruption that happens in all state institutions. So therefore, then okay, the politicians and the bureaucracy, yeah. So in order to bring an overall system change, there has to be new hands on deck. There has to be a new captain of the ship. There has to be a new ship. Quite frankly,
Shit.
and
Yeah,
so but by actually being okay, in my opinion, my own humble opinion, what we are doing right now, and my sister-in-law is right there. I'm sure you know her, Marisa De Silva. What doing right now is you're highlighting the problem, but you are not offering any solution. You're saying this should change, but change to what?
I
yeah.
know, I know you guys
Uh,
are eager to come up with the answer to that, so go for it.
yes. Yeah. So, one thing you said that, like, that we have to change the systems from within. This is very old thinking, and it has proven false time and time again. Everybody who has
Okay,
tried to change the system within has been changed by the system.
okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Right.
Okay.
No,
To
no,
add
no.
to that,
I'm just
I
posing the
also
question. So
feel
we just
that
want to.
no,
So you also want to know how you plan to change the system by from staying outside.
no.
Yeah, yeah, from
I
without,
think
yeah.
Yeah.
so. One thing we all need to realize is that people are not solutions. People are just people with their own flaws. People have their own agendas. They have their own purpose in life, and solutions already exist. It's just a matter of implementation that's not happening. And secondly, what we're trying to do here, and the reason why we don't get involved with politics, is that we're trying to highlight that uh, to stop putting people on a pedestal, stop having expectations from people. Yes, there has to be a leadership, but if there is no leader that you feel like an idol, or you don't feel like that you can respect this person, then that shouldn't be that. That there is no purpose of this leadership. And what we're trying to showcase here is that to stop having so much of expectations or dependency on a person. And there is solutions, there are problems, but there are solutions already. It's just a matter of implementation. It's a matter of commitment, dedication, and acceptance from people, and acknowledgement. I think that's what we are missing here, is that to stop putting pressure or to stop putting people as a solution,
Yeah.
because people are not.
Exactly, and also why we're here. Like, I'm not just speaking about everybody, but with both of us, we are here as active citizens, right? So, as citizens, our rights have been violated. Our right to live a decent life in Sri Lanka, um, that has not been we can't do that. And also the tax money that we have paid, and we are not getting the benefits of it. So the reason that we have representative democracy, and, like, parliamentarian to represent the people at the parliament and discuss the matters raised by the public, is because people can't, like, that not all of Sri Lanka, the 2 million, can't go in the parliament and make the decisions, right? So that's why we have this representative democracy, and they are paid a salary by our public, our tax money, to perform these duties. Right. So it's not fair to ask people, or people that are protesting, to come up with the solutions. No, the solutions has to come from the politicians who are paid to do this job. What we're doing is active citizenship, because the government or the leadership is failing to do that duty. Here we are highlighting that, look, what you're doing is wrong. if you can't do this job, resign, or
Melanie.
allow somebody, yeah,
Yeah.
allow
Okay, let me
somebody
just
to
say
do it.
this. Okay. There are lots of, yeah, there are lots of, let's say, kasipukarias, like moonshine mudalalis, thugs, all. What did you expect to get when you pay them a salary of 250,000 rupees? Anyone worth their salt in this country is probably making about a million. So you take, one fourth of your salary to come and serve your country, and then you have all this accountability because by law, by your constitution, you still have to declare your assets. And what you're suggesting is that we set KPIs, yeah, key performance indicators, so that okay, if you don't meet your KPIs, guess what? You're out the door. The thing is, so the system change that we are talking about cannot happen with this existing election system or state sector system. I think the new amendment to the constitution, where the president's powers are heavily curtailed, and once we have again a head of state, not a head of state, head of government, who is responsible to parliament and therefore accountable for his or her actions, is fantastic. But like I said, the utopia we want is in our minds, and I think we should come forward. I'm going to just say this out right now: next election I am going to contest as an independent candidate, simply because I cannot
Wow,
wait. I can I cannot
I
watch
thought we
this.
were I thought we were
I'm
keeping
serious.
that very hush hush, Anu.
No, I'm serious, Shaq. You know what I mean? Because
Good luck.
nobody's going to
Yep.
do this for us. None of, in my opinion, none of these people are not even interested in doing this. So we got to do it for ourselves. And I strongly urge you, because you have such vision and pureness in what we are doing right now. This the Aragale continuing. Because we really don't want to make money off this. We want to have a peaceful death. Close our eyes, finally thinking, damn it, I gave it a good shot. It's simple, right?
Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
ladies. I
good,
think
good
we're
luck.
into the final.
That's
Sorry, we're into the final minute or so of the show. But it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to. I mean, I just wish we had longer, much more time, or much more time. Doesn't even make sense. I wish we had actually a few more minutes for us to actually carry on with the conversation, because there's so many questions that's been pouring in and that we want to find out. But sadly, we just got ourselves an hour on the show. We're just about to obviously reveal the answer for the poll that we had. It'll be very interesting to see if we have the poll back up on the screen right now. Let's figure out. The poll was: do you think the
Yeah.
Aragalaya has lost its momentum? This is Anu's baby. Anu, go for it.
So yeah, so yes or no answer was what was required, and you had to WhatsApp your answer to 077 669 1590. That's of course our hotline. Let's see how the answers rack up.
We'll find
Darren.
out how it is. We're waiting for it.
Right. So
Oh,
66% say the Aragalia has lost its momentum. So this is, the our just viewership right now, and I mean, I'm sure you can take that into the macro kind of scenario out there. So I think this is like, I think good food for thought for everyone who's actually involved in the Aragalia. And trust me, you have our greatest respect for what you are doing, because you are fighting for all of us, and in our
that's
hearts we are
right.
there with you. And you saw how the people reacted the moment the people in the Aragale were touched. So clearly everyone in the country is behind you. So but it maybe a rethink is in order, I think.
Yeah, I suppose. Also, I think I think this also food for thought to get the constructive criticism that is actually coming from the outside, without trying to obviously keep it within yourself, saying no, we're not really bothered about what you guys are talking about. We have our own ideologies. We're going to stick with it. Maybe that might also possibly help you, because it was massive when it started. Everybody wanted to be there. Everybody had a common goal. Now, the common goal has sort of disintegrated among so many different tiny goals, due to many reasons. Due to many reasons, it could be because, of course, at the end of the day, it's a game of survival. That's exactly where we are in Sri Lanka at the moment. It is far more important to try and actually stand in line and get a gas than obviously come somewhere and hold a poster, because at the end of the day, things are, that's the way it's been perceived, so to say, by the
Yeah.
common man.
yeah, you're
Yep.
right. I
So
mean, Basically, like I think the only thing that I want to say is we want to say is that Aragale is everywhere. It's not just in
Yeah.
Golface. It's not just in Botagogama. As long as you live, like as long as you can speak against injustice, whether it's yours or the person next to you.
It doesn't have to happen to you to fight for your rights.
Yeah.
You don't have to, because why wait until you suffer to step out of your homes? Because we ourselves have homes, we have the privilege to just stay home as well. But we don't do that because we know the potential, we know how this could lead to. And so we are trying to make sure that this happens fast and efficiently.
Mm.
That's why we are here.
Yeah.
And we urge everyone to also have the same perspective, because if we're not together in numbers, we're not asking for you to hold a poster, we're asking for you to show, speak up, speak to each other, hold a banner, hold a like a wristband
Have a
or
black flag in
a
your car. Have
sticker,
a black
yeah,
flag outside your gate.
show your
Show
dissent
dissent.
in different ways. You can, if you are good at art, you can do artwork. Use your creativity to show that you oppose the current state that we are suffering from. We don't have to be oppressed like this every day. We don't need to be in, like, we don't have to be in control. Uh,
Yeah. All right. I
Ladies,
think,
thank you
Shaq, we
so
are at
much.
the end of.
I think, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time off and speaking to us. It's been absolutely wonderful. Here's wishing each and every one at
having
GGG, and of course, everybody obviously part of the Aragalia, which includes all of us, all the very best. Go for it. And we're all rooting for each and every one of you, and we're all basically in it with a common goal. So, once again, thank you so
Please,
much, and have a great night.
yeah, please do
Thank you
what you
so
do
thank
and
much.
stay
you.
safe.
Thank you for
Aragale.
having us. Huh?
Yeah. Aragale to Jayo.
Aragaya Jaya.
Jai Deva, Aragaleta Anivarya. On that note, we are out of here. Thanks to our media partner Dialogue. Shaq.
Yeah, I know. Just before we go, I just also like to say a big thank you to our wonderful team that's actually pulled this off. I mean, Darren,
Yeah,
Lavinia, Aslan, something that we've never done this before. We've never done this before. And a big thank you to the guys who've actually pulled it off. Thank you so much. So much hard work has gone behind this. Again, thank you very much to Dialogue TV, who believed in us and jumped up on a leap of faith with us. So thank you so much, guys.
all right. On that note, see you tomorrow. Take care.
Good night.
Clearly, it's an extended goodbye.